welcome to Wake Up and Live with the Arts. We are thrilled to be here at the Rainey Institute, East 55th in Cleveland, where Jennifer Harris, the Executive Director, welcomes and sponsors our Wake Up and Live with the Arts. I'm Sue Johnson, your host for this event, and along with James McGilbray, videographer, and Lester Bryant Sr., our editor, we are here to welcome guests from the Beck Center, 17801 Detroit Avenue, Lakewood, Ohio. Scott Spence is the artistic director there, and Julie Gilliland was instrumental in making sure that we welcome our next two guests, starring in Member of the Wedding. That would be Miss Lisa Langford and Mr. Peter Lawson Jones. I can't help but mess with him.
Well, then you have to do Lisa Louise.
Oh, I'm sorry. Lisa Louise Langford. Hi, guys. Welcome.
Hi.
Good to be here with you.
And I miss you so much.
Aww.
Yeah, it's been a while. You know. And I love meeting you.
I'm happy to meet you.
Glad that you have been in Cleveland for a while. We'll run into each other again.
Most certainly.
So tell us about the Member of the Wedding and the role, the character that you portray.
Okay. Well, Member of the Wedding is a play by Carson McCullers, and she adapted it from her book, The Member of the Wedding. It was a huge hit in the 40s, and Tennessee Williams was a friend of hers, and he said, you should turn this into a play. So she did. It was on Broadway. It starred Julie Harris as Frankie.
Yes.
And Ethel Waters as Berenice.
And that's the role you're playing.
Berenice Sadie Brown.
Yes.
And I am thrilled to be doing this play because it is the first scripted play I ever did. And I did it when I was 14 in high school.
Oh, my.
So that was like 41 years ago. Mm-hmm. And I'm thrilled to have a chance to do it again now that I know a little something about what I'm saying. And it's fun to see how I've grown and how much this character means to me.
Okay, that sounds wonderful. And Ethel Waters was a fantabulous actor. I mean, I loved growing up watching her. Mm-hmm. And, you know, speaking of actors who have moved on, I'm going to take a sidebar just for a second. We just lost Diane Carroll and a local celebrity, A. Grace Lee Mims. Yes. And she's an institution here in Cleveland.
Absolutely.
So to their families, we send out our condolences, and particularly Ace Grace Lee Mims, who was, I hate to say it this way, the wife of Howard Mims, who was instrumental in creating the African Studies Department at Cleveland State. And it's actually, I think it's the Mims something named.
Might be the Mims Center, I think.
Something like that, yeah.
African American Studies.
So Ethel Waters has moved on, but check, what is it, IMBD, check YouTube to catch some of the old Ethel Waters movies. Now, Peter Lawson Jones.
And let me say about A. Grace Lee Mims very, very quickly. She was inducted into the Karamu Hall of Fame a few years back. She was an icon, particularly as regards broadcast radio and what are still referred to as Negro spirituals.
Yes.
I don't think there was anybody who had a better appreciation, understanding, and knowledge of that area locally than did A. Grace Lee Mims. And it's kind of interesting. I was in Los Angeles in January, and I had the opportunity to speak briefly with Spike Lee. And actually, I was trying to catch up with him. And of course, that's A. Grace Lee Mims' nephew.
Yes, Spike Lee is her nephew.
And so he was kind of in a hurry he had just participated in a talk back. They had a screening of Black Klansman. But I was determined to say something to him. So I said, as he was walking briskly, I said, oh, Mr. Lee, I'm good friends with your aunt, Grace Lee Mims. So he turned around and we had a chance to connect for a few minutes. But yeah, she'll be missed. And, you know, Diane Carroll, I'll be honest, she reminds me so much of my own mother, Diane Jones. And I firmly believe that had my mom been born 20 years later,
Yeah.
that she would have been a TV and film star. She had the
Okay.
personality, the charisma, and I understand she had some acting chops as well
Okay,
from
okay.
Central High School. So,
Well, that's where my folks met too, and
Wow.
turned out they had some acting desires way back then. Yeah, but no, we had.
But I digress, I guess.
No, and it's, I mean, she's an important person. We had her on the show a long time ago, and she was instrumental in WCPN broadcasting black music, and that was her program that she created many years ago. And she was an opera singer, and I mean, her biography just goes
Very
on and
impressive.
on and on. Yeah, but I
She'll
guess
be missed.
that's life, you know. But anyway, speaking of real life, living life now, and you are involved in this project. Is there any project you're not involved in? Never mind.
Yeah, now that's a long list of those, I would imagine.
But in the member,
Until I learn how to clone myself, and then I can do more. Yeah.
honey, if you clone yourself, I don't know. The world can't stand it.
One of me is
It's
more than enough.
More than enough. So tell us about you and your involvement with the member of the wedding.
Well, you know, I'm very excited to be performing at Beck Center for the first time. I've performed
this your
most
first
of this.
time?
My first
Oh.
time at Beck Center in the role of T.T. Williams, and to share the stage with Lisa, who absolutely commands the stage and is extraordinary.
She dominates, yes.
There's no question. See, she is the glue in the play. Everything revolves around her as the maid, or in effect the surrogate mother.
Yes, to the young girl.
For the young girl, Frankie.
Frankie,
And to some extent, almost a surrogate mother for Frankie's cousin, John Henry, as well. So it's great to be working with Lisa. She and I did a stage reading years ago.
We're always playing married people.
Yeah, right. And so I'm her boyfriend.
Okay.
But she has a line where she says, but in effect, that he really doesn't turn me on the way that her previous husbands had.
Oh,
So-
my word. Uh-huh.
But in the book, we find out he is a successful black restaurateur, and she eventually marries him.
Oh,
I see.
It doesn't
is
happen
good
in the
to
play.
know.
Yeah. But yeah, Titi's got it going on.
So we're going to have to obviously do the member of the wedding, the epilogue,
Yes.
where all these other great things can happen.
And since you have the card there, tell us about
Sure.
when and how the show runs, and
Well, we just completed our first weekend. We run
Opening
Friday
weekend,
through
yeah.
Sunday, Friday and Saturday at 8, Sunday at 3 p.m., through November the 3rd. So the next 4 weekends, next 4 Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, we have performances. It's a 5-week run, all in all, at the Beck Center, and we're in their intimate studio
the
theater.
studio theater, yes, the smaller
so there's
theater.
no bad view, no
Right.
obstructed or poor view there.
Sight lines are fantastic.
Sight lines are fantastic. You're in the middle of the action.
You're in the mix of it. You're right there in the kitchen with us.
Absolutely. Someone's in the kitchen with Bernie. Someone's in the kitchen, I know. So,
And that made me think of Dream to Raisin in the Sun. You know, so much of it is in the kitchen. Just that little tidbit, you know, made me think of that
and both
play.
of those characters, both younger,
Yeah,
Lena Younger.
Walter
Lena
Lee,
Younger,
yeah.
and Berenice
Ruth,
Sadie Brown.
yeah.
They're both iconic kind of maternal figures in the black theatrical canon. So.
Yeah, and for those of you who may not be aware, like Dobama, like Cleveland Playhouse, the Beck Center has now become a full equity house, so that our local actors, equity actors who find it a bit challenging to find paid acting roles, check out the Beck Center. Scott Spence, the artistic director. Phone number out there is 216-521-2540, and get yourself put on the audition call list. And I don't mean to say that they don't have non-equity actors, but we in the business know how difficult it is for equity actors to find work locally, because like many things, we know the
Well,
Cleveland...
we're a little more expensive. That's the
Yeah.
bottom line. So many theaters, for understandable reasons, are cost conscious. But in Remember the wedding, Lisa and I are the only two equity performers. And in Glen Ross, which just closed, which was an extraordinary show, I think maybe 2 or 3 of those actors, including Austin Pendleton, who came from New York City and LA, and where
well, see, that's the thing. Usually, a lot of times they bring in the equity actors from out of town. You were able to perform at the Cleveland Playhouse a long time ago. Have you been there? Okay, so it's rare for local folks to show up on stage at the Playhouse. And I say that with true love because Kristen Nett's band, it makes sure that we always enjoy taping the productions at the Cleveland Playhouse. We just finished doing Seeing Into the Breaches, and now we just taped Pipeline, which will be out in a few days. That's coming up. So
that's where you saw Dominique Morisseau's name.
Is that where I just saw it? And Dominique Morisseau is
playwright for Pipeline, which is coming up at Cleveland Playhouse, and Paradise Blue, which is right now at Karamu, and Skeleton Crew, which is coming up in January at Dobama, which I will be in.
Okay,
so
got royalties aplenty.
Cleveland is buying her some nice.
It's been very, very good.
Cleveland is buying her shea butter.
So maybe that's where, because I know I had just seen her name like all over and so forth.
And she's amazing. She's a MacArthur Fellow, and she wrote the book for the new Temptations musical. She's an amazing woman, and she's going to be speaking at the City Club tomorrow, and I hope to
be able to be there. Yeah. Okay, well, see, a lot is going on in the arts here in Cleveland, so make sure you don't miss out on anything. Now, we're going to I speak English. I teach speaking.
And
I'm a director. I'm a coach. Yeah, but we gonna. Right now.
You fit right in as a member of the wedding. A little Southern drawl and dialect.
Southern drawl and dialect, honey. Yeah. And Frankie, well, actually, we'll come back to her. But before I forget, because I'm good at forgetting. I do that a lot now. But you mentioned you guys as professional actors and performing artists, and you are busy as well as a playwright, because we were talking about Dominique Morisseau, and I wanted to make sure that we draw attention to the fact that you, darling, a published playwright here in Cleveland. Tell us a little bit about this project.
Well, this is a play that I wrote called Rosses and Hattie. It is a recipient of a 2019 Joyce Award from the Joyce Foundation, and it is world premiering at Cleveland Public Theater as we speak. I think their schedule is Friday, Saturday, Monday, and they have free beer Fridays.
Okay.
So if you'd like to knock one back and see art, come get your beer, come see your art. It's a play about race relations, but it's a funny
take on.
Yeah, it's a funny, interesting look about the importance of history in our lives and what it means to be honest and open about race. And it's got robots.
Robots.
So that's why you need the beer. Just be like, you got robots. I need the free beer Friday.
Now, have you seen the
I haven't
itself?
Because I'm doing Member of the Wedding.
Yeah.
But because they run Friday, Saturday, and Monday, and we run Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, I'm going to go Monday after the premiere. And Anne McAvoy is directing it. She's an amazing director.
She's another local legend. Yes.
She's the Judi Dench of Cleveland.
Yes.
And my play is in the best hands it could be in with her helming it. I've got a wonderful cast, including Nicole Sumlin, Ananias.
We had her on the show too.
She's amazing. Yeah, she did that Lady Day at the Emerson Bar and Grill. Yep. Ananias, I can't think of Dixon. Ananias Dixon, Darius Stubbs, Adam Seeholzer, and Rachel Lee Coas.
Okay.
And Janine
Gaskin.
We know her.
Yeah, we've got a great cast.
Might arguably be the best comic actress in Cleveland.
Okay.
Pure comedy, she's hard to beat.
So again, beer, comedy, come. You know.
And robots.
Yeah.
Don't forget,
and robots.
Where else are you going to see robots on stage? Nowhere else
Nowhere.
except Cleveland Public Theater. The next few weekends.
On Detroit Avenue, East 65th area.
West
in Detroit.
65th?
Well, yeah, West. Thank you, darling.
You know, yeah.
It's West 65th
Well, you know, we
area.
native Clevelanders, we know our east side from our west side.
Yeah.
We're very serious about that demarcation.
I'm telling you, crossing the river, the bridge,
Oh,
the
my
water.
goodness,
Yeah.
yes.
So October 5th to 26th.
But that's another show, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's another show.
Come see Rostas and Hattie by Louise Langford, appearing at the Cleveland Public Theater, and its artistic director,
Raymond Bobbigan.
Ray Bobkin, who has done miraculous works over there as well. You know, I'm going to put in a quick plug. Cleveland. More and more folks are finding out that Cleveland is a center for the arts. We've been around. I can't speak for you long enough, where theaters and folks from out of town skipped Cleveland because it was New York, Chicago, and L.A. Cleveland has finally, quote, begun to arrive. We're not 100% there, but people are finding out how powerful our Cleveland theater is, and that we are the second largest theater district outside of New York, you know. So tell us, darling, with your background, I like to mess with him because he's my little brother. Tell us, how did you prepare for your role in Member of the Wedding? What is your style for preparing?
Well, you know, it's kind of interesting because this is one play in which I have more light lifting than I typically have. The fact is that in this play, Lisa and her two young charges
Frankie
are
and
on
who's
Frankie
the other?
and John Henry, and Frankie's played by Ellie Ritterbusch, something like that, and Chase Oberhaus plays John Henry. One of them is on the stage the entire time, at least one of them.
Yeah, Frank,
Okay.
yeah.
And between the three of them, I mean, probably 85% of the dialogue is theirs, at least.
Okay.
So they are really carrying this play. So this is one of those, for me, the role of TT is one in which you have to infuse a certain kind of energy in those moments that you are on stage. And in basketball, we often talk about being able to play without the ball in your hands. And this is also one of those roles for me. When I'm on stage, oftentimes I'm reacting to what other actors are saying or doing, the dialogue, the activity on stage. So it's a great opportunity for me to polish those skills of playing without the ball, of being in the moment, of reacting to my other teammates who are on the stage with me.
And that is an actor's professional skill development, character development matter. As Peter was saying about reacting and listening, because there are a lot of times that the character is in the scene but doesn't have any active dialogue, and it's how critical that character reflects what is going on.
If I'm sitting on stage looking bored while everybody else is engaging themselves, the audience is going to see that.
Yes.
They'll probably pay less attention to the dialogue. Why is he so listening? If he's bored, maybe I should be bored too.
Yeah. Wake up! And when you're in rehearsal, when I work with actors in rehearsal, and if they're reading their script instead of paying attention to the other character, I have to stop them and make them engage and listen and react, because that's what so much theater is about. In fact, any scene work that you're doing is reacting to your character, what's going on. So you, as Bernice, yes, you're in charge of the children. So what is your style for reacting and listening to them
Especially working with children, which is child actors.
We have
a bit of a
we all have so many lines between me and Ellie. And Ellie has the most lines. Like, she just never stops talking because she's sort of this hyper, dreamy child. So she's
Yes.
constantly talking. And between the two of us, we're usually like so focused, like, you know what's next? I know what's next. Do you know what's next?
Yeah.
And then we're eating food. We've got a sink that works. We're trying not to drop dishes. We're juggling balls. So for us, it being present is paramount because the scene. I wish I could not be present, but it's like I can't, if I doze for a second, I'll miss something,
Yes.
So
If you lose focus for half a second,
I did Lear at Beck Center at the end of the summer, and I played Regan, and I had a smaller role. Like I was not Lear, so I got to not be on stage or not think for a while. And in my next one, I hope there's time when I don't have. But this one is just like, by the time he arrives in that first scene and we get to walk off, it's just nonstop. Yeah.
I'm holding her up.
Well,
I won't let you fall.
Thank you.
he's good at that.
I got you.
As a veteran actor around town. But now, I just forgot what I was going to ask or say regarding, give us a little synopsis of what the play is about without revealing too much about your characters. And this is a story about what?
I guess I think it's a story on
the
really
literal
two different
level,
on two different levels. But the first thing, it's a coming of age story for a young white girl in the South around 1945. That's the primary driving force. But it's also about interpersonal interactions, and it's about family. Interesting family in which her biological father's kind of disengaged. Her biological mother had died when she was born. I think at birth, during
Childbirth,
during childbirth. And then you have, but you have Berenice in effect functioning as the mother for really two children. And so you have these interesting interpersonal relationships, and then you have the stories of her foster brother, Honey Camden. Was Honey Camden Brown? Right, Honey Camden Brown. And so that's interesting. And that's when you kind of delve into some of the societal issues in the South in 1945, the oppression, the limited opportunity, the hierarchy and pecking order, the expectations that people had of people of different races and how they were to be treated and how they were to treat them. All of these issues are also explored.
And it's a complex
and
interaction.
Sexual identity is kind of referenced in a couple of interesting ways.
She's very forward thinking. She talks about a trans person, and without judgment, just saying this is somebody who lives in our neighborhood. And also, the older brother of Frankie is getting married, and that sort of sets everything off. And it's really a tale about belonging. Because the young girl really just wants to belong to something. There's a bunch of misfits in the kitchen. All of us in some way are misfits, but we come together to make a kind of made family, a found family.
Yeah. So we want you to come check out the Member of the Wedding and what that means at the Beck Center, October. The dates again are you already open. I know last
so it's
weekend.
Every Friday, Saturday in October at 8, Sundays at 3 in October, and the first weekend in November.
And be
first,
sure
second, and third.
to contact Beck Center. You can call 216-521-2540. Go
Extension 10.
Extension
10 will take you straight to the box office.
Okay.
And at Beck Center, or if you're internet savvy, just go online at beckcenter.org. Beckcenter.org.
And so as we begin to wrap, tell us do you have your next project lined up?
Yes, I absolutely
talk
do.
about?
There's a few things happening, but my next project is an adaptation of a graphic novel called The Blues Man.
Okay.
And interestingly enough, Eric Schmiedl, who's directing us in the Member of the Wedding,
I forgot to give him a shout out, but make sure we talk about Eric.
Oh, he has jury duty. If he were here, we would have.
He emailed me this morning that he had jury duty. Yeah.
And you can't get out of that.
No.
And so he's directing The Blues Man. The piece was adapted by Michael Oatman from the graphic novel.
Yes.
That would be performed. It's being produced and sponsored by Cleveland Treatment Center. And they almost annually do a play. And I think this is my third one I've been involved in, at least. And so that will go up the weekend after Thanksgiving at the Breen Center at St. Ignatius.
That's the
lovely
West
Breen Center at St. Ignatius. West 28th.
28th.
Off of Lorraine.
Lorraine,
Right.
yes.
So that's the next project, and I'm, like any other actor, I'm always auditioning. So right now I'm waiting to hear back on 2 or 3 film auditions. I've got a audition for a stage, a theatrical production in Boston.
Oh,
so I'm doing that in the next couple of days. My own play just got another stage reading at Duquesne University.
The Jungle,
the Bloodless Jungle.
The Bloodless Jungle is still out there.
And I'm working with, and I have a wonderful intern from BW who's working with me to land some full productions outside of Northeast Ohio. For since it's a political play, I mean, fall of 2020 is ideal time for it.
Yes.
So I'm trying to help people connect those dots. Theaters across the country.
You got it, yeah. And Lisa, what's on your agenda once you finish with Member of the Wedding?
Some sleep, a little bit of sleep.
Yes.
But as I said, I will be doing a skeleton crew at Dobama Theater, where Nathan Mata is the artistic director, and Nina Domingue will be directing it.
Okay, she's just now finishing up Paradise Blue at Caramel.
See, it's just Dominique Morrisseau. No, it's gelling. It's gelling.
But I mean that only the best of ways.
And that is another, it's not an issue, it's a thing. It's about theater, it's about film, it's about, and again, with theater actors, performing artists, sometimes it's easier to audition and get cast the more you get known in your field. You know why? One of the reasons is because the directors, the choreographers, the assistant directors, the stage managers, they know your work. And they don't have, a lot of times, newbies aren't cast as easily or as readily because the directors don't have time to teach, train, coach, work with them in a production. So I encourage actors to do as much work around town or anywhere else for that matter that they can get it, paid or unpaid, because as we say, you're building your chops, people are getting familiar with you, and people are getting to know you, because that's a key factor in how some folks tend to get more work than others. It's because they know that these folks generate success.
And let me say this. I think one important thing for young actors to know, aspiring actors, is the importance of being grounded in the theater, in stage work. To me, that's where you learn the craft.
That's the
you can make the
granddaddy
adjustments.
of them all.
Absolutely. You can make the adjustments you have to make for film work, for commercial work, for TV work. Pulling back some, not as loud, more subtlety, more facial expressions. You can learn all of that. But in terms of the discipline that's required of an actor, you learn it through stage work. And let me say this. We were talking about Glengarry Glen Ross, which just closed at Beck Center. And there was a famous kind of phrase from that play, ABC, always be closing. If you're a salesman, always be closing. If you're an actor, always be auditioning. ABA. And that's what you have to do. You never stop auditioning. Understand that when you start out, if for every audition you have, for every 10 auditions you have, you're getting one callback or one role, you're doing pretty good.
Precisely.
This is a business in which a batting average of .100 will ultimately get you in the Hall of Fame if you're hitting 10% of the time. And that's, I think it's important for young actors to appreciate that.
And as a coach myself, to piggyback on what you're saying, many actors, want to be on camera, be it commercial, be it film, be it TV. And I let them know that that's okay. but I recommend that you do at least 3 to 5 theater experiences so that when a casting director, a talent agent looks at your resume, he or she will see that you have been trained. Because in addition to what Peter said about the theater, well, I call it the granddaddy of them all, it means you learn how to walk a set, cables, how you walk in and out a door, how you work well with others, scene partner, lighting, sound. It means you've had the exposure and you're well trained. And yes, when we work on camera, it's a little different. But do you know, a lot of times the Hollywood actors who make it big in film first, guess where they take themselves to expand their careers and their professionalism? They take themselves to theater experiences to add to the film experience. So I have preached that enough. Yeah.
And let me say this, Lisa certainly has great experience in TV and film. I think I've told her I'm jealous of her because she had a significant role on one of my favorite shows of all time. She was in an episode of Law and Order with Essa Murkerson.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
It was from one of the earlier seasons. It was called Competence. I played a woman whose son was shot by Essa Murkerson. And it was
that the one where she was at the bank teller?
Yes.
That was you.
That's so weird. Yes.
You knew her before you knew her.
Oh my word.
And it was funny because that was my first time on a network television show, and she was so kind to me and so generous and so sweet.
We had Peter, I have to say, Peter and Company team had her in Cleveland. Oh, it's been 4 or 5
years. We inducted her into the
Hall of Caribou Hall of Fame.
Hall of Fame, because she performed with Caribou back in the day.
Yeah. So, well, honey, let me touch you.
I mean, that's my favorite show. When they closed it down, I felt like I had lost a close friend and an opportunity. That's the only thing that would have been imprimatur of success had I been on Law and Order.
And you can almost walk in New York and end up on Law and Order. So I missed it too.
You can walk in New York, and you can end up being the body at the first scene. But you got to have some skills to have
be the body.
Substantial role that she had.
Well, honey, I'm impressed.
I was saying those residuals are like 0.01 penny, but now 5 cents. Thank you.
How about that? And on that note, we have used up quite a bit of time, tape, and our featured guests' time. Lord knows, now I'm in love with Louise Langford, my first time meeting her. Peter and I don't want to get incestuous, but, we've been in love for many, many days, moons, years.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So,
and my wife Lisa is good with it.
And Lisa's a soror, Delta Sigma Theta.
I'm not his wife.
So,
but you got a great first date.
And she's a strong supporter of Peter and the arts too. Well, his whole family is.
Absolutely.
Well, another conversation is about his founding, being involved in the founding of Fatherhood Initiative, and he reminds me seriously of the old-fashioned days of, a mother, father, 3 kids, family, middle class, the Cosby folk before he turned into a gangster, or whatever the heck he turned into. But yeah,
a gangster is actually a compliment. I think I'd rather be a gangster than a predator.
That's what he is. I think he's doing time now for real.
I know he's doing real time.
Time. But anyway, I'm very proud of Peter and his family and the work he does in Cleveland, him being a friend. And so we want to thank you for joining us for this extended version of Wake Up and Live with the Arts, featuring Peter Lawson Jones, Lisa Langford, and a cast of several others, including Frankie, the young child, who I guess kind of steals the show. Yeah. Anyway, we want to make sure to thank Lester and James, and we always end our show saying, be sure to wake up and live with the arts every day. See you next time.